London, and it's like half the people are from different places in the world. They're not from England. So maybe could that potentially lead to an erasure of our cultures?
But there's also hundreds and thousands of years of history that we have to take into account, and I think white people have always been on the wrong side of history when it comes to that. So
Countries are countries, so if you go to Poland, they have Polish culture and there's Polish people there, but if I went to Warsaw and there was like 50% of them were from Pakistan or India, I think that would be a kind of a degradation of the local culture.
What is your goal with this interviewing thing?
What's your name?
Gabby,
April.
Where are you guys from?
Australia.
What's your favorite thing about Spain?
Probably the history. I think we've been to a lot of cool cathedrals here, some of the most beautiful we've ever seen. The food's amazing, the people are lovely, lots of things to love.
You?
I'd say the culture. I feel like Australia is quite a new country and we don't have as much of a rich history as Spain, so we're really enjoying the old cathedrals, and all the art too is amazing.
Yeah, I'm from Canada. I feel the same way. It's very modern, right? So there's no like architecture like this. There's no like ruins, Roman ruins or anything like that.
Yeah, definitely.
So if you could move to a different country, where would you go?
Well, I would say so far this is the first stop in our little trip. I think we both agree that we love Valencia, specifically as a city in Spain, the most so far. I think it's a very livable city, and it's really interesting as well.
Which other cities have you been?
We've been to Barcelona, Ibiza, and Mallorca.
Ibiza, that's the party central. What did you guys do there?
In and out in like
Party.
48 hours. Didn't even try to explore the island. We just partied.
We didn't do it very well, but we did it for what it was made for, I guess.
Spent a lot of money.
Yes.
Yeah, I was gonna ask, how much money did you spend over there? Because it's pretty crazy.
We don't want to talk about it.
All right, a little political question then. I know a little bit about Australia. What's the biggest problem going on in Australia right now?
The biggest. I feel like there's lots of issues at the moment.
I think probably the most prominent issue at the moment is probably the voice and like the division between Indigenous Australians and honouring and acknowledging their ownership of the land and how we can integrate that into modern Australia. I think we tried to have was it a legislation passed called the Voice Australia, and it got denied, and I think that brought up a lot of division. And
You think Indigenous own the land of Australia, all of it?
Yes.
yeah, I think that they're the original owners of the land, and I think we have to work together to kind of respect and learn more about their culture and how they have a really deeply connected relationship with the land and the landscape.
Yeah, I think it's still it's an ongoing issue. It has been forever. And I think what's most important is just creating unity between our people and Indigenous people in a way which honours and respects their culture.
But does that mean that all the white people have to leave Australia, or what does it mean what does it mean that they own the land?
No, that's a bit of a dramatic solution.
Yeah.
I just think that we need to work together to build a relationship and listen to them, and they can give us some solutions to how we can better live on that land and use the resources of nature to better us and our health.
They're very knowledgeable people, and they have so many stories and such a rich history that we haven't yet, I think, delved into enough. At least, I think us personally, I think we definitely have room for improvement, and we have a lot to learn from our Indigenous people. So I don't think that means that we have to leave the land, though. I think it just means that, like I said, working in unity to create an environment where we can all live equally and respect each other's boundaries, and yeah.
So do you think that Indigenous people deserve to have privileges over white people, or do you think they should have the same rights?
I think it's not one over the other.
No.
I just think it's creating equal privileges. I think a lot of Indigenous Australians, especially in rural Australia and Northern Territory, are displaced because they're not receiving the support that they need. There's also a really high rate of imprisonment of Indigenous people because they're being neglected in some smaller communities, and I just think that racism is still quite prevalent, so we're just not handling that the best way we could.
So some people are complaining about immigration in Australia because all the housing prices are going up, everything's going up, and some people would prefer that there's no immigration. What do you say?
I feel like I'm not educated enough to
No.
provide an answer for that.
Unfortunately, we should be
numbers.
more educated about these issues. But again, I think that it's rich for white Australians to say no to immigration when we were not originally from our land. So I think that personally, I believe everyone should be welcome to, because I would hope that if I wanted to move somewhere else one day, that I would also be welcomed with open arms. So
You don't think Australia is a white country?
what do you mean by that?
Like the founding peoples were from England, from Ireland and such?
They also brought over a lot of convents that were from all different countries, so I think we're quite a multicultural country.
Like you had the white Australia policy for a long time. What was that about?
To be honest, I have no idea.
We did learn it,
Yes.
but
It was basically
complex history of that.
it was basically like they restricted immigration from certain countries in Europe.
They restricted immigration from where?
They restricted it to basically like British Isles countries, northwestern Europe, and then they opened it to like Germany and a few other Scandinavia, and then to other parts of Europe. But I guess the policy was they wanted to keep the country European. Do you think that's good or bad?
No, I don't think that's good. I think that if you're allowing anyone into the country, it should be open to everyone, not just white people.
Why everyone?
Because everyone is equal.
Right, but is there different cultures maybe that might not be compatible with each other? Like, some cultures have practices that are not necessarily modern. Like they have child marriages in certain countries, they have female genital mutilation in certain countries. You don't want to bring that to Australia.
Well, there's obviously extremists that are prevalent in any culture, and I think that's another issue within itself. But I think in general, if a culture is practicing a religion that doesn't directly affect you, then it shouldn't. Then you shouldn't have a say on whether they should be allowed into a country or not. There's space for everyone. Country is a big place, so
It's a huge place. And also, I think that just because people have different beliefs doesn't mean that they're not compatible. April and I have been friends for our entire lives, and we still differ in some of our beliefs, and that doesn't mean that we can't live together, work together. So I think.
Well, for example, like if a Muslim person came in and they believed in Sharia law, and they wanted to change the law to Sharia law in Australia, do you think that would be grounds to stop them from entering?
Well, obviously that's a whole nother political debate, because I feel like our political system is kind of right now ruled by Christianity in the most part, but like I think that I feel like I don't have the grounds to have an opinion on that.
Well, that's an extremist view, and perhaps that would not be compatible with Australian governance.
I feel like the general rule of thumb is never mix religion and state, no matter what. That's just my belief.
yeah.
So, in terms of that hypothetical situation, I don't have an answer for that, because I just think it should be applied no matter
It's a
what.
very complex question that you're asking, because
is.
I think that a lot of our world wars have to do with differing belief systems. So like, if in a perfect world everyone would maybe believe the same thing, and that's just not realistic, and that's okay, and that's going to be something that humans continue to have issues with forever, I think.
Well, some people want to preserve countries as one, or mainly one thing. For let's say you go to Saudi Arabia and they're Muslims, right? They're not going to let you practice Christianity. And you go to Asia, you go to China, and it's like 99% Chinese, and they don't have a lot of immigration. So do you think maybe there's a bit too much immigration to the West? Like you go to London and it's like half the people are from different places in the world. They're not from England. So maybe could that potentially lead to an erasure of our cultures?
No, I don't have any issue with anyone immigrating anywhere in the world. I think that we have free will, we should be able to do
Total open borders. Is anyone no borders?
I think as young people who've just graduated uni, we have no problem. Obviously, if you interview different people from different backgrounds, you've got business people, you've got politicians, you've got
Exactly. And also-
conservatives. I just think that as our perspective and where we are in life right now, we have absolutely no problem living amongst people from different countries.
No, absolutely not. And also, that could be a very ignorant opinion of mine because I'm not considering a lot of like political aspects. But as a whole, if you ask me straight, if I think that immigration shouldn't be for everyone, like I have no issue. But that's just my personal viewpoint because based on what level of education I have at the moment for this specific topic.
Because like it'd be weird for me, like from my point of view, it'd be weird if I went to Japan and like half the people were not Japanese, or if I went to, you know, some country like Nigeria and half the people are not Nigerian. It would just look weird. It would look odd. But you can see
Where
that
are you
from Canada.
And do you know your ethnicity, like to the percent? Have you done like a
Yeah,
ancestry?
I'm half Spanish and half Czech.
Half, 50%.
Do you think it's weird that you're in Canada because you're half Spanish?
No, I mean I moved back here, so I have dual citizenship. So yeah.
Just because it's weird, I feel like that's not a valid
No.
argument to.
And also, like, I think that your DNA is far more complex than you think, than just 50-50.
Well, it said 50-50. I did do a test. It said 50-50.
Okay, fair enough. But like, for example, me.
All your ancestors are half Spanish, half Canadian.
Half are Spanish, half are Eastern Europe. Yeah.
Okay.
You guys are probably British, English descent? Or?
Dutch,
Polish.
Yeah.
I've been to Poland. Is that weird that I'm 50% Polish? I'm probably from my ethnicity, I'm probably the most Polish, and I've never even been to that country. Is that weird? That I'm Australian. I'm living in Australia, and I consider myself an Australian, but my ethnicity is mostly Polish. No.
No, it's not weird. I mean, I'm just saying that countries are countries. So if you go to Poland, they have Polish culture and there's Polish people there. But if I went to Warsaw and there was like 50% of them were from Pakistan or India, I think that would be a kind of a degradation of the local culture. You know what I mean? And in the reverse way, like obviously it was a bad thing that those countries were colonized and they didn't like that. But it seems like it's happening in the reverse way now.
I have a question for you. Can I switch?
Yeah, go ahead.
What is your like goal with this interviewing thing? Like your whole
Just to ask people interesting questions. I want to hear different answers.
Are you coming from a neutral standpoint, just asking both sides, or are you kind of got one?
No, I have my own opinions, obviously.
Yes.
I'm not trying to impose on you, but you guys give me your opinions and I'll give you my opinion.
To challenge people and have different opinions, but that's where we stand. That's our answers. That's as much as we can tell you without
Yes, and obviously
experience and education. So
I think we come from I think we still have a lot to learn, and we come from. I can acknowledge that we are not as well educated as we should be in a lot of these topics, and that's like one of our goals is to learn more about it as well.
yeah,
But
we're very far away, so it's really cool to come to Europe and
Yeah, like so if you came here and then like 50% of the people you saw were from Pakistan, you think that's cool?
yeah, because does
It's
that
not
change
Spain.
the fact that that cathedral is like one of the most beautiful things I've ever seen? No.
But it wasn't built by them, it was built by Spaniards.
Yeah, but
so.
it wasn't built
Spanish
by you, was it?
architecture.
You're Spanish. You didn't build
Right,
it.
but if your children win a soccer game and you cheer for them, I mean, is that wrong? Like, it's your heritage, it's your team, no? Why do people root for their country in the World Cup?
I think that has
maybe
You can't be proud of your ancestors, or
you can. It'll still be here, no matter who comes.
Yeah.
It's still going to be here.
No matter who
history's
lives
still
here,
gonna be
yeah.
Maybe the Pakistanis that are coming are half Spanish.
but the thing is, they're not Spanish. So why would we want to give it?
They could be.
Why would we want to give the country to them and they have their own
it's
country?
not giving.
Because their ancestors could be Spanish. It's not
Well, obviously, I don't think their ancestors are Spanish. I mean, a lot of Latinos have Spanish ancestry, and they do come here. I'm cool with that if they have some connection to the country,
You're
but
not cool if they don't. So if I wanted to live here, you're not cool with that.
no, I'd be cool with that if they have a.
I have no Spanish
I'm
ancestry.
taking over this place and I'm not Spanish.
Well, I think you
You're
guys,
giving the country to me, and I'm Polish.
if you learn to speak Spanish, I think you'd assimilate pretty well. Because look, Europeans have the same culture, really, more or less. They're Christian background, similar histories. You know, we can relate a bit more, but people from other cultures, like Islamic cultures, for example, very, very different. I mean,
If I don't want to
super,
relate to anyone,
super
I just
different.
want to stay in my own lane and live here. And also, yes,
Yeah.
we come from a Christian background, but both of us do not practice Christianity or any religion.
My mum's
as a matter of
practicing
fact.
Buddhism, so it just doesn't narrow you into one thing just because you're born into that country that, as a whole, mainly practice one religion.
So I just don't think they would like it in the reverse. Like Jamaicans, I don't think they would be happy if a bunch of white
Have
people.
you asked a Jamaican that?
I've asked some of them, yeah, and
Really?
I don't think they'd be happy if Jamaica was like being flooded with Europeans. In fact, the whole history there was that they kicked them out, right?
They can have that opinion.
Everyone's entitled to their own opinion.
You think it's racist to believe that?
To believe what?
The country should be mainly one group of people and not mixed melting pot?
To some extent, yeah.
Racism, yes.
Why is that racist?
Because you're segregating populations. Like, you're saying that people are entitled to live here just because of, one, how they look. You said that I could fit in here in Spain if I learnt the language. And two, from their religious beliefs. I think that's creating like discrimination against certain people. And
Well, everybody discriminates. They discriminate in different ways. So you guys probably discriminate who you're friends with, right? Maybe if some guy's a weird-looking guy, he has like a big mohawk and he's got piercings all over his face, maybe you wouldn't be friends with that guy. So everybody discriminates, just in different types of ways, right?
I think
Doesn't
that's
make
not
it any
comparable.
more okay.
I think that's like not comparable.
Obviously, this isn't like an overnight change thing we're suggesting just to end discrimination in any form, but it's definitely something you can actively acknowledge when you are being pressing towards other cultures just
to-
because they want to live here and have the same lifestyle as you. Like, why do they not have that privilege?
Because to preserve something, you must discriminate. There's no way to preserve it any other way. If you were just to let everybody in here, this country would just be mixed up with every culture, every race in the world. It wouldn't be Spain anymore. They wouldn't be eating Spanish food anymore. They'd be pushing their food and their culture and their religions. There'll be more mosques than churches. You know, there'll be
That's very
Hindus.
hypothetical. How can you say that?
So you can go to Barcelona. There's different cities. There's different cities in Catalonia, and you can see that it's like mostly Moroccans. They have mosques everywhere. They eat Moroccan food. You have little ghettos of people, and they bring their own culture here, and they change the culture. Now, if you extrapolate that to millions and millions and millions of people, eventually your whole country is going to be different.
I can guarantee that I don't think that's going to happen in your lifetime, so I don't think it's something that you should have to worry about.
But I think there's many factors as to why people immigrate, and I don't think you can apply that one statement to everything. If someone is in a war-torn country and they're fleeing for safety, their number one intention is not to come and take over and make sure that the history is lost
It's just
of
to
their
live.
origin. It's just to be able to be safe and provide for their family and live a normal life, or as normal as it can be. So I feel like that's a very blanket statement to apply to many different factors to why people move.
So you think it would be okay for black people to want to preserve the black culture? Because you guys were very pro-Aboriginal. So like obviously the Aboriginals would have their traditions and their culture, and it's okay to preserve that, right?
It's okay to preserve that, but I think you need to also integrate that into modern society too.
But let's take that example. So white people moved to Australia and they kind of displaced the Aboriginals. So isn't that happening in the reverse way now, where they're coming here and displacing us? If it's bad for the Aboriginals, wouldn't it be bad for us too?
We're not killing generations of people coming here to live.
And displacing children. There's a difference between coming and living harmoniously with other cultures or coming and taking over completely. And I don't think that Indigenous Australia's intention is to do that. It's just to be able to be heard about what they also need and how we can integrate their history into ours.
So you think there's a difference between the colonial style versus just immigration?
I think the colonial style is much more harsher. I think there's better ways to do it now. I definitely think there was a supremacy of colonials and that they had the right to take over the land no matter what was happening at the moment, at that current moment. And I don't think that's the way of life now. I think you have to acknowledge what's happening and learn to integrate it, but also teach each other about different cultures and grow from there.
Yeah, I mean, if my view is that if the Aboriginals want to have a culture and preserve their culture and preserve their people, which they do in a lot of places, including Canada, they have their own communities. Like they have in Nunavut in Canada, it's just Aboriginals, and the Prime Minister said Nunavut is an Aboriginal province just for them. So, well, if somebody said that about a type of European group, they would call you racist, though. So it seems like there's like a double standard going on, where like if you're Aboriginal or you're black, you could be proud to be your group, but if you're white, you can't.
You can definitely still be proud to be your ethnicity.
But there's also hundreds of thousands of years of history that we have to take into account, and I think white people have always been on the wrong side of history when it comes to that. So if there is some give and take, I think it should definitely be giving to a lot of oppressed cultures in the past and creating that forgiveness. And we have so many issues when it comes to Sorry Day in Australia, which was like the bare minimum attempt to try and apologise for all the years of displacement and massacres that we put on Indigenous and minority cultures. So it's a give and take.
But it's not all bad. I mean, Europe has also created so much good. Technology, science, art, architecture. We've contributed to the world, contributed to everything. So we can't just say all of our history is evil colonialism.
We definitely didn't say that. But I think that when we're talking about these issues of colonization, yes, there is. If you look at, especially considering Australia, like colonization was a really dark time for all of our Indigenous people, and it's something that still affects us to this day, and our Indigenous people to this day. So I think that in looking in terms of that, yes, it is negative, has negative connotations.
Europe was colonized too, though, right? Turks, Mongols, Arabs came and conquered parts of Spain. They ruled Spain for 600 years. So we were also victims, not only oppressors.
Which we're learning about. We only know Australian history as much. We don't know as much about European history, but that's our take on our history and what we
still
know. We still have lots to learn, but I think no matter how much we learn, I think we'll always still have the same standpoint, is that anyone should be able to move anywhere.
Well, thank you very much, ladies. Hope you enjoy Spain.
Thank you.